Our show's what you know. We'll always watch TV. And if you think we can't, we'll watch more and you'll see. That's why the people of the web believe in Jim from Las Vegas and Jakob from Sweden.
Shows What You Know, your television podcast. I am Jim from Las Vegas.
I'm Jakob from Sweden, and I'm not going to start with talking about how all television entertainment is an endless stream of disposable stimuli full of slop filling our eyeballs with just disgusting surface-level entertainment. No, because we've actually been pretty positive lately. We've been talking about shows we like. We're turning a new leaf. It's 2026. It's a new Shows What You Know, and we're just chatting about cool stuff. Welcome. Come hang out. We love shows now again. I don't know what happened. It's spring, I guess. I guess it's just sunny.
We do love shows where it's a new morning here in the world of Shows What You Know. And actually, I did just think of new. We were just talking to go inside on a podcast. We were like, "Oh, is any news we wanted to get to?" And it's like, "Oh, yeah, no, I think we're good to go. We'll just talk about what we've been watching." But then, as we started, I did want to just shout out one thing that has happened since we last recorded. Is that they did announce that Wonder Man has been renewed for a second season on Disney Plus. I can't believe it slipped my mind before we started recording.
You happy about this? We both enjoyed Wonder Man a lot. If you haven't listened to our episode on it, we chat about it. It's very TV industry insider type show, but in a good way. It's, if you like movies, if you like watching movies about people making movies, you're gonna like Wonder Man. It has that and also some superhero stuff.
Yes, it was one of those where it felt like the writing was on the wall that this was a one and done. It kind of felt like Disney just dumped it all, on a random day. It didn't seem like there was a lot of ad burst behind it like some of these other Marvel shows you get. It didn't feel like it was one of those shows everyone was talking about. The critics really liked it. I went into it just kind of like, I guess I like things about Hollywood or whatever, we'll see. And if you heard our discussion on it, I loved it. But it also felt it was completely fine. I think I even said this. I was like, hey, if we end it here, it makes complete sense. It could be a one and done. We don't need to see these characters again. But I also said I would love to see these characters again. Usually I'd be like, oh, just don't do it. You're going to ruin it. You had a good thing. But I'm very confident that they'll come through with some more stuff. So I'm very excited.
Nice. Yeah, no, I could see this turning out good. Do you think it is just kind of the reaction? Because Wonder Man had, at least among critics and that, because, critics like us, we're critics, I guess. Everyone's a critic. But critics love things about movies and things like I was just saying. Do you think the fact that it was fairly well received is part of the decision here, or?
It must be that, and I assume, I didn't look into this, I assume it's a lot cheaper than most of these other shows.
Yeah.
Because given we get some superhero stuff here and there, we get some nice slow motion smashing of a kitchen or something, we get hints at an explosion or something, and we do see like a character fly, I suppose. But I assume, in comparison to even something like Daredevil or whatever, where they always have to have some sort of set piece, a hallway, a brand new hallway to fight in. Let's do it. I assume it's probably cheaper. Maybe that helps as well, and it gives them a little critical shine. And maybe they think that this could be something that could be an award potential, like more of a I'm not sure the word for it, but kind of like just something, even if it doesn't do as well, but it's like, oh, look, we're getting these rave reviews, and maybe we got an Emmy or something out of it. Then maybe that makes it all much more worth it.
They kind of need that as well. Like Marvel, it has felt on the film front like they've been scraping the bottom of the barrel for a while and like really recycling ideas. So I guess if any, because they've been panned so many times by critics, so if anything comes along where people are positive on it, I guess it makes sense that they'd be like, at least they'll have it, even if it's not the most popular one, they'll have it to point out and go like, see, we make good stuff too.
Yes, yeah. Yahya Abdul-Mateen did kind of speak on it recently. He said, he doesn't usually talk about a lot of his projects once they're released, but he thought the experience here was different. This one, this one was special. Wonder Man was a bit different because it was so special for creatives, for artists, and for people with dreams. So I really did enjoy participating sort of peripherally with the conversation about the show. He did add that the audience reaction stood out to him, noting, quote, "It touched a lot of people, and that was something that I was really, really proud of to be a part of." He welcomed the renewal, of course, pointing out the opportunities to create for the story going forward. So I'm happy we got season 2, and thank you. I'm happy we got season 2, and I'm excited to share what we got in store. So I do think that probably rings true, like, because I mean, again, like we talk about how, you know, we're wannabe TV writers turned no audience podcasters. So
yeah. Hey. We also have YouTube channels.
That's true. Absolutely. So, and yeah, I mean, I definitely, that show, it hit me way more emotionally than most. I mean, 95% of like Marvel projects. So yeah, I could see that people are like, wow, this is great, because it's about a guy with superpowers, but his superpowers are a detriment to his dream, and he just wants to pursue his dream. And that was great.
Yeah, and I think we threw around some ideas. Like, I don't think it'll be hard for them to come up with a season 2. It's not quite like we've talked about other miniseries that get renewed, like Shogun, for example. And it's like you kind of finished a story there, whereas this is like, yeah, you finished a story, but like you could get in a room, sit in a room, and come up with 10 different ways to do season 2. And I think they'll, given what we saw in season 1, they'll probably be able to do something good with it. So it's good news as far as I'm concerned as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Very excited for that. So then, anyways, moving on.
What TV shows have you been watching? Tell me, I gotta know.
Jacob, I'm going to
Yes.
tell you a TV show that I've been watching. Now, actually, did you watch the first season of Jury Duty?
You know, I didn't. Heard a lot about it, but never actually saw it myself. I think you maybe told me about it, and like a lot of people would have talked about it, of course. I understand the concept is, as people probably know, some fella goes in to do jury duty, and everyone else is a paid actor, and there's a bunch of ridiculous scenarios, so it's kind of like reality show type thing, but he doesn't know he's in a reality show. That's the concept, right?
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I mean, season 1 was, yes, literally, it was jury duty. They have a real guy, Ronald Gladden, that shows up for jury duty, and he's informed that, hey, you know, we're making this documentary on this case or whatever, however they explained it. We're making a documentary on the jury duty experience, whatever it might be. But yes, little does he understand that that's just a front for it being a TV show, and he's the only one that's not a paid actor. And they set up these, you know, outrageous scenarios for him to kind of react to. And kind of the lasting thing of it, like season 1 was fairly funny. I mean, James Marsden is in it. That was a great bit where he plays himself. That's the actor who played like Cyclops and X-Men. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He plays like an exaggerated version of himself, being all Hollywood, thinking he's too good to be there, stuff like that. It's been a while since I watched it because, yeah, it came out in 2023, so I don't remember a lot of the other specifics. So it is kind of like, oh, how do we do another season of this? So it does result in kind of the clumsily titled Jury Duty Company Retreat because they take it away from jury duty. They don't do a jury duty again, but you need that name. You need the synergy so people know that it's the same, you know, people kind of behind the scenes. And they pitch it more as this, they hire a temp. You're a temp that's being hired by a company that's going on their company retreat for a couple weeks. They go up to this like mountain resort or whatever it is to do, you know, team building exercises and all this stuff. And he's serving as a temporary assistant and again, throw him into these wacky situations. Now, again, the lasting thing to me, and I think for most people from season 1, it wasn't so much how hilarious it was. Like, it was still funny. But it was more that Ronald kind of came on the other side as a good person. And that was like good to see. And I think if anything, that's the best part of Company Retreat. This season 2 here is, I believe is it Anthony? What's his name? Yeah, Anthony the temp. Like, because I mean, to be completely honest with you, season 2 is kind of very unfunny to me, but
Okay, cool.
it's more so because they were in a challenging situation, because with jury duty, it's very easy to be like, hey, this is 12 strangers. You could just have a bunch of characters come in and they're all kind of, trying to meet each other and bounce off each other with the one guy in the mix.
Yeah.
Now, with Company Retreat, you have to have more of a conceit where all these other people know each other. So what we end up in, there's actually a bunch of scenes even throughout the season where it's like the guy's not even there and the other people are doing almost kind of like bad off the office type things where they're like, oh, hey, I'm the awkward guy that used to say really offensive stuff, and HR's got me like winding down a bit, and I'm the girl who the boss has the crush on, and it's like
it's almost like they're doing a TV show, but there's just one guy who's not an actor in it, which is weird.
Correct. So but I get it. It's tougher because they did have to build more storylines and backstory, and even the cast had to like rehearse together with each other a lot more to kind of make it believable that these people all know each other, and it's like like a work family, if you will. They have like a 22-decade backstory between a lot of these people, and there's like the father that runs the company and then the son. And so most of the first few episodes, there's some funny moments, but it's kind of getting through a lot of the comedy that just didn't hit for me anyways. A lot of people might like it. But the fun thing is seeing Anthony react to these things, and especially seeing they put him in situations where he just shows that he's a good guy. And it's kind of heartwarming to see him being a good dude and just seeing a person like trying to help other people and shit like that. And it really builds to an awesome moment. Like, again, like it got me emotional. Like, it builds to an awesome moment where he does deliver. I'm sure it would be great for the producers either way. Like, if you have a guy that turns out to be like
piece of shit,
a piece of shit, like there's maybe a fun way to watch that. But it's great to see him, be in a movie type scenario but give you the movie moment, like where you're like, that never happens. People don't do that, and look out for other people. And so it's more interesting. Like the back 3 episodes are the best part, honestly, where it ends, and then of course the reveal, and then they also went into it a little bit more where they have like it's a separate show on Amazon, which is like the behind the scenes, where then they have Anthony from season 2 meeting Ronald from season 1, and of course they meet in a diner, and they make the joke like they might even be filming us right now, and they are. There's secret cameras everywhere. All the people in the diner are actors,
of course.
And he's like giving him, this is before the show came out, obviously, but he's just talking about the experience, and they're kind of relating on that. They bring back James Marsden to do kind of like a cast reunion where he interviews people. They have a lot more behind the scenes stuff where they kind of show how they pulled things off. And even if some of the stuff isn't as funny, it's very interesting to see how the sausage is made. And they show some of these situations where they got into, very close things where like the prank was almost blown because of certain things they'd set up, and then someone wouldn't hit a certain mark, or they would, there's a thing where the keys need to be locked in a car, and one of the actors left the window down, and so they had to like send someone out to kind of distract them while another person runs out to roll the window up, put the keys in. Like, stuff like that was really, really cool to see. So it's more like I appreciate it more, but I really love the last 2 or 3 episodes, and I love the behind the scenes stuff.
Cool. Well, as someone who hasn't seen seasons 1 or 2, I guess it seems more morally defensible, this version, where, you basically give someone a job, and dealing with nut jobs is par for the course in any job, really. Like, that's part of it. Versus jury duty. I mean, you're not allowed to say no, right? Like, you can try to wriggle out of it, but it's like, this is you have to do this. You have no choice. Of course, you might be able to, after the fact, go like, no, I don't want to be on TV and the whole show's fucked. But like, I think that feeling of being trapped as well would have been part of the comedy of the first season, right? Like you were saying, of like, here's these 12 people, we can do a bunch of crazy situations, versus it sounds like season 2, and correct me if I'm wrong, do you think when they were coming up with it, they mentioned Severance like a million times because it sounds like let's do weird corporate business type stuff, and it's all about the succession of this company. Or this is only the vibe I got from seeing like one promotional image. By the way,
no,
so
you're right. Yeah, I
know,
didn't even really make the connection, honestly. But yeah, you're absolutely right. That definitely comes into play because it plays in a lot into this idea of the owner that kind of has this like fuck up son, and like, you know, is he going to take over the company? But they also introduce a whole thing of like a big tech company like buying the company as well. So there's a few moving parts going on. I mostly got the Office vibes, but now that you mentioned Severance, I think that works as well.
Yeah. Okay, great. And is it a recommend? Do you think I would enjoy it?
Absolutely. I do recommend it, and I would just say, I mean, maybe the comedy may work for you, but I'm just saying if it doesn't, just kind of stick with it. I think it's worth getting to the end because they really stick the landing, and it really, I mean, I went from being like, oh, this is fine, I like to have, we'll throw this on, like my fiance and I will just be watching it. Maybe sometimes we're just talking or doing other stuff because it wasn't fully engaging. But then again, once we got to the back half, I was like, oh, this is like appointment viewing. It was great.
Okay, class.
What TV shows have you been watching? Tell me, I gotta know.
Jim, I've also been watching TV.
Yes.
On occasion. You know, a show I've watched is, you know, the world's greatest detective, Sherlock Holmes. Have you ever wondered what if he was younger?
Constantly, and then I'm constantly shown young Sherlock Holmes
Yes,
projects.
indeed. Yes, there have been many of them, but the most recent one is called Young Sherlock. Literally, that's just the name they went with, and it is created by Matthew Parkhill, who I looked up, and I'm like, he made like a police show called Rogue that ran for like 5 million seasons, but I was like, I don't actually know this guy, but the name you will have seen if you saw advertisements for it is Guy Ritchie, because it's developed by Guy Ritchie and Peter Harness, who I would know from making the Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell adaptation that I quite liked. But regardless, them two worked on developing it, and it is inspired by a book series. So there is a Young Sherlock book series. I feel like this show, which is on Amazon Prime, by the way, is not very related to the book series because this show is fucking ridiculous, Jim. It is so absurdly over the top. You know, ever since Guy Ritchie made like that King Arthur movie, I feel like every film he's made has just been some absolutely weird, bonkers, over the top action thing. And I know even his, I mean, obviously this is he made the Sherlock films with Robert Downey Jr. and they were extremely popular.
These don't tie to that or anything with the Guy Ritchie connection,
no,
right?
I mean, I feel like maybe there's like a hint of it. Like it could be that guy, obviously, but it's not really related. You know, actually, it probably couldn't be now that I think about it, because like the relationship with Moriarty and the characters, I feel like they don't really line up. But you know, it's Sherlock Holmes; it doesn't fucking matter, does it?
Yeah.
But it's like that vibe is what I expected, and it is what I get. But except since making those Sherlock films, there have been just many strange Guy Ritchie films, and I feel like that's kind of the direction we've gone here, because the amount of ridiculous shit they cram even to just into the first episode is quite a lot. So the setup is a little bit contrived, but they get it out of the way quickly. The main thing is we're going to watch Sherlock Holmes be at Oxford, but he's actually a servant at Oxford, which sets him up to be just endlessly goodwill hunting everyone and everything, because obviously he's a fucking genius. And he makes friends with a student called Moriarty, and then almost immediately they have to buddy cop up and prove that they didn't commit a crime that's about to get them thrown out or thrown into jail. So it's not I don't know. I watched the first episode of this, and I watched it before our last recording, and I was going to talk about it, and I was going to be quite negative on it. I was going to literally be like, let's pull these clips so I can show Jim how ridiculous this is. And then I got like, and then all of a sudden I'm like, this is so silly. And then I'm like, I've watched half the season. And then I'm like, I've watched the full season. I really enjoyed that. But even in the first episode, there's just like so many action movie tropes things. They're defusing a massive bomb, even though it's like the 1870s. And there's a lot of steampunky, ridiculous technology that doesn't exist. They're not quite flying around on Zeppelins and things like that. But I'd say season 2 will bring that up. But they are doing things like having a conversation while following a criminal in a shadow version of a criminal in Sherlock's mind palace. So they're like talking, but they're reviewing the scene they were just in, and also they have penny-farthing chase scenes. You know, it's idiotic, but essentially it charmed me with its idiocy. I felt like it was so detached from any sense of realism that after an episode or two, you build up a tolerance for it, and then you're able to enjoy the melodrama, because every episode is a mystery of sorts, and they all feed into the next one, and it's all like huge over-the-top family drama, international conspiracy, like super criminals, that sort of thing. So in the end, I actually did enjoy it quite a lot.
And this is brand new, right? This isn't like
it just came out on Amazon Prime a month or two ago at this stage. But yeah, it's brand spanking new. And I will say Moriarty, who's played by Donal Finn, another new Irish hunk on the scene. We should really have a sounder or some sort of board. I should be putting them up here on the wall. But we have Moriarty, another Irish hunk that you're going to be hearing a lot more about. He was in Wheel of Time as Matt, one of the main characters in Wheel of Time seasons 2 and 3, which I know I was the only one who was sad when Wheel of Time was cancelled, but he was good in that as well, and he's great in this. He absolutely steals the show. You're like, fuck Sherlock. I like this Moriarty fellow. He's very charming and everything, but yeah, I will say, I as I said, I did enjoy it, but you know that feeling when you enjoy the first season of something and then you go back in the second season and you're like, what was I? What? I liked this?
Yeah.
That's guaranteed to happen. Absolutely guaranteed. It's like waking up hungover after a party and then that clarity sets in of what you were doing. And I'm like, I gave this a glowing review in episode 42 of Shows What You Know at showswhatyouknow.com. I know I'm not going to be able to enjoy season 2, but gosh darn it, I sure did enjoy season 1.
Well, it's weird you bring up just that particular phenomenon, because I don't know if this is your other show you've been watching, but The Boys is back, and I find I can't even bring myself to watch it for some reason.
The Boys are back in town for the, I guess, last season 5. Right, it's not the other show, but let's speak briefly on it, because I had that feeling with The Boys as well, where so much plot has happened in The Boys, and I remember so little of it, and they are always going over the top as well in a very different way, in a more sort of gory, ridiculous way. So I've had that feeling as well. I haven't even tried to watch the new season of The Boys yet, I'll be honest. So you gave it a go?
I did watch the first episode. It wasn't really bad or anything, but I guess it reminded me of, and I'm sure I will go back and watch it maybe now that we've I've built up a few episodes where I can kind of binge it a little. But it reminded me of when that first Game of Thrones prequel came out, and I started watching it, and I was like, I just don't care about this world anymore. But now Dunkin' Eggs got me caring about the world, and so maybe I'll go back and watch that. But yeah, with The Boys, and I think part of it's the time. Because, even though, we watched, actually, the first season of Gen V was before the last season of The Boys. But then there was Gen V season 2, which I didn't even watch. And then, I was just like, wait, what's going on? Who's this person? Now she's talking again. She's talking now. I don't know. No shade to The Boys fans out there. I'm just kind of over it. But hopefully, maybe I'll tune back in and get into it.
Well, I think part of it is that 2-year gap for most shows as well, right? Like it makes it harder to stay in the zone. I also, and I'm not, we don't have to play a separate sounder for this one, but I also watched season 2 of One Piece. And that was like the epitome of like, it's rough to get back into this, because One Piece is a live action anime adaptation and they play everything totally straight. So or a manga adaptation, whatever. Like, so as you can imagine, it is like literally cartoons and they're doing ridiculous cartoon shit. And that is very hard to get back into if you don't watch season 1 to lead into it. Because season 1 was so surprising, because they've obviously done a lot of live action manga and anime adaptations. Most of them have been absolutely terrible. So everyone was pretty much shocked when One Piece season 1 was surprisingly good. They kind of just did it, and they did it pretty well. And my very brief review of season 2 is, they did it pretty well again, but I absolutely hated the first episode. And then I kind of kept watching and got back into it, much like young Sherlock. You kind of have to build, I guess, like kind of wade back into the world or something like this. But the thing with something like One Piece is the outfits, the costuming. I don't know if you want to Google it there or what, but like the outfits they wear and the designs and everything are so ridiculous. but they match 1-to-1 the cartoon. My one piece of feedback that I would have loved to see is like make everything a little bit dirtier, because everyone looks like they're cosplaying in like at the start of a day of cosplaying. You know, they don't even have dirty outfits. It's all very cartoonish. And I know it's I get people could say, oh, it's for kids or whatever. I'm just like, throw some grime on there, make it feel like it could be a real world, and then I'll be able to look past the 3D like monsters or whatever that look fake, because other things look real. But in the end, I actually did enjoy One Piece season 2 as well, because I was able to get back into it. And I was also like, maybe that is how you have to do it, because it's so cartoonish and over the top. Maybe you do have to just play that straight. But at the same time, I was like, just grime it up a bit, guys. Just throw some dirt on there for me. Because they do the same thing in fucking the Avatar, The Last Airbender live action, and every Disney live action thing as well. And I know it's for kids, but kids can also see that this is fake shit, and you could just make it look real.
Make it look, absolutely. I'm a little I mean, I don't know One Piece really at all. I'm a little familiar because I'm going to be going to Universal Fan Fest nights soon, and you know, I know all the kids love this One Piece. There's a One Piece water show that's at Universal, and they have this whole One Piece restaurant with all this different food and like based off of different characters and stuff. So I'm a little familiar with it. I know there's like a deer-looking guy that everyone loves that wears like a purple hat.
Yeah, not my favorite part of the show. Honestly, because I read the One Piece manga back in the day, and I think I would have been like, you know, or like 10 or to early teens or whatever, and I was reading it, and some of the stuff I'm like, okay, this deer thing, I'm not that as into like the cute animals. But although the thing that's nice is, especially in the manga, it'll be like cute animals, here's them going through horrific traumatizing shit and being covered in blood, and the show doesn't even have blood, you know. The show feels like it's a pared down version of that. So yeah, I don't know. One Piece, I think, is now the most sold and longest running manga of all time, so it makes sense that you'd be seeing bits and pieces of it even if you weren't in the fandom.
What TV shows have you been watching? Tell me, I gotta know.
Another season 2 that I watched, and actually, Jacob, did you watch Beef season 1?
You know, I started it. You gave a pretty strong recommendation, and I think I watched one episode, and it was one of those where it wasn't by choice. I didn't continue it. It just didn't happen to happen. But I did enjoy the first episode, but no, I didn't watch it. But you were very positive on it, and I saw it had come out season 2, right?
Yes, I loved Beef season 1. Season 2's back, and they've done they did the smart thing that the Duffer Brothers could not do, where they made their show more of a anthology. So it's like it's season 2, but it's new characters, and it's more, if anything, it's just more similar in kind of, I guess, like, because I guess the essential vibe of the show is beef. It's like beef between people, like misunderstandings that get blown up to crazier and crazier proportions that have people at each other's throats. And in the first season, the titular beef took place because of like a road rage type incident that happened between two characters, and how that started to, you know, like shatter through, ripple through the different people in each of their lives, and how that went about it. It's another one where it's been a while, so I don't remember all the specifics. Remember, I loved it. And I forget, because season 2 has a lot of this, and I forget if season 1 has a lot of it or not. But it gets very, season 2 anyways, gets very Cobra Kai-esque, where it's like someone hears something the wrong way. Because, you know, Cobra Kai was very like, you know, Daniel LaRusso and Johnny Lawrence, they're at each other's throats. We want them to be best friends. And then there are moments where like, oh my God, they're friends. This is going to happen. And then someone hears something the wrong way in a very sitcom-esque type situation. Yeah. And now all of a sudden we hate each other even more than we did before. Well, because Beef, in this season of Beef, we have, it's between two couples. So, because who is it? It's Oscar Isaac. Let me pull up the cast real quick. We got Oscar Isaac and Kaylee Spiney is in it as well. Hold on, no, because the first season was Stephen Yeun and Ali Wong.
Is it full anthology, like no connection at all?
As far as I know, unless I was missing some sort of,
Okay. Cool.
weird, subtle Easter eggs, it's been a while. But no, as far as I know, it's completely different. But yeah, Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan they're an older couple, and Oscar Isaac is a GM at a like a country club resort thing. And then Kaylee Spiney and Charles Melton are a young couple, young in love. Charles Melton, people may remember, he was in that Netflix movie May December. It looks like he was on Riverdale, a bunch of episodes or not. But he was in that May December movie that was about like a teacher that got knocked up by her student, and then they had kids together. But the cast is great. I mean, the leads are awesome because you kind of see where they're planting the seeds initially, where we have this rich couple, the GM of the country club and his wife, and they're at this like fundraiser party at the beginning, and they're smiling and shaking hands and stuff. And as soon as they get in the car, it's like frowns. They've been together all this time, and they're rich, but they're the rich people, which I would love to be in this situation, by the way, where you're the rich person, but you're also in the orbit of super rich people. So to yourself, you're not rich, You're
nothing. You're dirt.
Yes. And also he's maybe juggling debts and doing weird stuff. Anyways, Oscar Isaac's character. And then we have Kaylee Spiney and Charles Melton are the young couple. They work at the country club. They're like part-time. They work there, and it's all about how in love they are. They're just like, oh, I love you. And you kind of see right from the beginning, like, oh, we're going to see kind of probably the crumbling of the young love.
And maybe the rekindling of the old love. Great.
Yes.
Through their hate for this other couple, one assumes.
And yeah, and so it kind of builds up where the Oscar Isaac and Carey Mulligan, who play Josh and Lindsay, they end up going home, and they have this like big blown out, drag out fight, which you could assume they've probably have had before in the past, and it's unhealthy and toxic. But if someone stumbled upon that, it would probably look way worse than it is, because what happens is then the employees get told to he left his wallet there. And so they are just showing up to bring the wallet. They hear a scuffle, and they start filming because they think, I don't know, because that's what kids do. And they end up stumbling upon this big argument, and then there comes this push and pull of like, we need that video. Well, we would like to have
a raise.
Yeah, we would like to have full-time and benefits. And then that starts to build like, well, are they going to keep a copy of it, or are they going to hold this over our heads forever? And it's a great way to kick it off, and I think it's immediately pulls you in. I do feel like it gets a bit off the rails by the last few episodes. It gets a little out there. A lot of people describe the first few episodes, from what I've read, people are comparing it to White Lotus, which I haven't watched, because I guess it does play up a little bit on the generational thing, like, oh, these are some like a young Zoomer couple, and then this is an older millennial couple, and we look at them as they're lazy, which I guess, tale as old as time. The older generation thinks the younger generation is lazy and hasn't earned anything, and the younger generation, maybe more so than ever, they're right. They think that they don't have any future because we don't have anything and nothing to really aspire for. There's a really funny moment where I think it's in the first episode, where she kind of does get what she wants, and like it's like a smash cut to them driving home, and she's like, $49K a year, health insurance, we're set for life.
Yeah. Oh dear. That is funny.
And there's a lot of funny stuff around, like, but then when you have that health insurance, well, this is not something you would know about. This is obviously a American thing, but. And then you go there and like, well, we have a deductible of $1,000, and it's like, oh, so they're going to deduct that from the bill, and it's like, no, you have to pay that. It's like, but why do they call it a deductible? What's the insurance for? So there's a lot of funny stuff, because it is like kind of a dark comedy, dramedy thing.
What's the runtime on these episodes? I see the first season had 10 episodes. This has like 8.
They
like
range
half hour.
Some of them are like 30 to 33 minutes. I think
Mm.
Maybe there might be one or two that's like 39 or 40, but nothing over that. So it's all very manageable, easy to watch. And it hooked me where I was like watching one or two a day. I didn't binge it like outright in one day, what I probably could have, but I did kind of stretch it out a little bit. And I thought it was great. I don't know if it's as good as the first season, but very good. I do really enjoy this show, and I'm hoping for more. I like that if they keep it up with this, just different beefs, different characters, stuff like that. It does look like is it the creator? The creator also worked on Dave. We might have just talked about this if we talked about Beef season 1. But yeah, he wrote a couple episodes of Dave, a couple episodes of Girl Boss, which I never saw. He did write an episode of Silicon Valley. He wrote for a lot of stuff. A couple episodes of It's Always Sunny he was involved in, it looks like.
Yeah, but it's interesting because we're looking at Lee Sung Jin, the creator here, and I was just looking at that as well because I was wondering, anthologies. We're kind of always saying that we want anthologies, but it makes sense that they never do them because IP is everything. So Stranger Things is just one example, but if you have a hit that's like, we have the actors, we have the chemistry, we have like a story. Of course, executives are going to say, just do that again. That worked. Do that again. They're always looking for a thing that works. That's why we're always seeing so many things rehashed, right? So it's surprising. Like, obviously, with something like Fargo, when you have like big names behind it, maybe you can get away with doing something that's more of an anthology. But it seems to me like it should be hard for someone who's more new on the scene or has less sway to actually get away with doing that and not just continuing on. Not really a comment about beef here, but just like that thing that we're always saying where it's like, I want to see more from this team. And if that is within the title of this or something else, that's fine. If that's the thing to keep the team together. But we are less often about like, I want to see this character again, because we realize that's only a small part of the machinery of TV.
Yeah, I mean, and that probably lends itself. That's why, they got some heavy, like Oscar Isaac's a pretty big fucking star. Carey Mulligan's a big star. I know people know Kaylee Spiney. I've seen her. I think she was in an Alien movie that I watched. Oh, and she was in Civil War, which I liked. But I know she's a fairly big name. So yeah, it probably does help if you can get some like A-listers involved to really be able to sway that. One of the main directors that he works with is Jake Schreier, who directed the Thunderbolts movie, and he's also directing the upcoming X-Men movie, and the creator of Beef is writing the upcoming X-Men movie as well.
Okay, yeah. Cool. Well, I guess regardless of any similarities, this might be a White Lotus effect, right? Where you and I neither one of us has seen White Lotus, but White Lotus, a very, very successful anthology show. And I guess what they've shown is the benefit is you get to announce new cast and try to recreate buzz every season instead of being locked into something people might not want to come back for. It's like, ooh, remember when you liked this? Here's a bunch. And White Lotus is very much like, putting characters in like crazy situations, and like, wouldn't it be funny if Helena Bonham Carter was involved here? But then Helena Bonham Carter mysteriously drops out of White Lotus. That's like the one piece of television news I saw recently, and I haven't even seen the show, so I don't have much to say about it. But yeah, maybe that's part of it. Maybe Beef season 2 wouldn't have been made in this way if not for White Lotus showing that that's something that is working.
But then also, I guess on the flip side of that with the anthology is that I forget what really marked the end of American Vandal, because they did 2 seasons, and that was like an anthology.
But season 2, I feel like it didn't get much love, or it did. I don't know what it was exactly, but people didn't talk about season 2. Season 1 was like a big hit; everyone talked about it. Season 2. And it was kind of an anthology, but it was also the same crew behind the camera sort of thing. So you had those recurring characters, and also so they were tapping the same well in a sense, in that there was still like a parody of true crime or whatever. So yeah. True. But also that was such a long time ago, Jim.
Yes.
That was so many years ago at this stage.
I love American Vandal. I love Players. I was just looking up to see if those dudes are working on anything. I mean, I guess.
Yeah,
that's
Players.
their
I want to
check.
rewatch Players. It's a shame they never got to make a season 2 of that.
Yeah, I think we even talked about it at the time. It's just rough because it was even it was on, I think, like Peacock or something, and then also it's just called Players, so it's not the
It's a bad
easiest
name.
thing
But
to
that was
find.
that was the period of time. Oh, I guess it came out in 2022, but still, it was the period of time where every show was just a word. Every show was just
Yeah.
a noun.
Yes.
I don't think they had a choice.
But yeah, Beef season 2. There's Beef. There's another one for you. I would recommend it for sure.
What TV shows have you been watching? Tell me, I gotta know.
Jim, I assume you're very excited about the new Netflix adaptation of Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because it's got
Hell
Dolly
yeah.
Alderton writing it and creating it, all of that. Anyway, stop Googling because this is not about that. We're not even talking about
All right.
that. That's not even out until the end of this year. That's out in the fall.
All
No.
right.
We're talking about a TV show called The Other Bennet Sister, which just come out. And it is not about, Lizzie Bennet. It's not about Lydia Bennet. It's not about any of the Bennets, except it's one about the Bennets. It's about Mary. It's about the frumpy, nerdy Bennet sister who is just a joke in the original book. This is finally her story. And aren't you just excited to hear about it, Jim?
Well, you got to tell me what any of that means.
Yeah. yes. Okay, so Pride and Prejudice, right? You've heard of this, Mr. Darcy.
I've heard of it. I don't know what any of that other stuff means.
Jim, when I went to film writing school, I think they just forced us to dig into this because Pride and Prejudice is the rom-com. It's like the prototypical rom-com upon which so many others are based, both in literature and then in film and all that sort of thing. It's a Regency romance, right? So it takes place in the early 1800s in England, and it is written by Jane Austen, who would have lived at that time and in that time period and everything, and in that society. And it's all about these people who are in sort of high society. They're kind of the nobility of the time, and it's all about things like trying to get advantageous marriages, making sure you get engagements and that sort of thing, and everything being the propriety and all that sort of thing. Now, more recently, of course, people would have watched things like Bridgerton, which is set in the exact same time period, except it's ridiculously over the top in a sort of young Sherlock sort of way. And that is more sort of overlap with the genre of romance that's more like the bodice ripping, hunky dudes type romance mixed in with that. Whereas the original Pride and Prejudice and books from this period in general would be much more about the small things, the little things conversations at a ball or a dinner party or what have you, all these sorts of things that build up and misunderstandings. It's comedy, and actually the thing about it is it's a good book as well. Like it's a funny book because Jane Austen is making fun of all of these people. You know, she's writing about all these high society types folks, but is writing about them from a sort of it's parody to an extent, but also it's romance. So that's Pride and Prejudice. The original one is about these 5 sisters, the Bennet sisters, who are all looking to get married, and they have to get married because the dad, he never had any sons. He only has 5 daughters, and daughters can't inherit. So the estate where they live is going to be entailed off to someone else if they don't make advantageous matches. So the real Pride and Prejudice, the OG, is all about, the first couple of daughters finding their matches and, living happily ever after. Mr. Darcy is autistic. They don't put that in the book, but he's very obviously autistic, but he's just like grumpy face, but heart of gold type thing. And then there's someone else who's like nice, but turns out to be an asshole. All that sort of classic stuff. In all of this, there is a character called Mary Bennet, who is like a younger sister who is basically just a joke. She is like big into God and like playing the piano forte and singing badly and being embarrassing. So she's like a joke sister, the younger sister who is just dismissed. And in 2020, because obviously all of this is in the public domain, so there are many like published fan fictions like Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, which literally just adds zombies to it, which I read, which was a disappointment, by the way. And the movie is also not great. But another one of those is, I think it is called The Other Bennet Sister, this book that came out where they were like, the authors taking the focus onto this younger character, and they've made a 10-part BBC adaptation. All the episodes are about 30 minutes each. It's nice and bite-sized.
So this is like the Zeppo episode of Buffy where you follow Xander. Like
exactly.
Let's go. Does it just follow into a whole different story? I'm sorry to cut you off. You're probably gonna
go ahead.
Or does it intertwine with the known story, like things from other points of view?
It's a great question, and I was worried after like episode 1 that it was just going to be redoing the plot of Pride and Prejudice from her perspective, because they do start with that, of course, where it's like these incidents that are in the book and like what led her to act this way or whatever, or what gives a bit of more depth to it. That's like the first 1 or 2 episodes, and we do see a disastrous pianoforte performance from her perspective and everything. Then we jump over all of the plot of Pride and Prejudice. We just skip ahead. The main sisters get married. The main problem of like, whoa, the estate is kind of resolved, and now the problem is more, all my sisters have gone away. I'm stuck with my mother, who's like basically a Livia Soprano type, like really overbearing type mother. And she's and the main character here is very socially awkward and trying to make her own way. So it goes off to make a completely new story where the other characters from the original are just kind of side characters in it, and Mary Bennet goes off and becomes her own person. And it is very much like a coming of age story. And the main actress, Ella Brucoleri, who I don't know from anything before this, but she does a great job because she plays a character that's reserved, shy, and socially awkward, but does it with a good amount of heart. And I feel like usually for that type of character, they'll just cast someone who's like unbelievably hot and then not even bother to make them look frumpy. Whereas with her, I'm like, yeah, you could like, obviously she's a pretty girl in real life and everything, but you could believe that she was the sister that was neglected and everything like that. And she does a good job of that, like socially awkward, making small progress in developing and all that sort of thing, which is important for a story that lives and dies by these like auspices of Regency romance, because it becomes like a love triangle. There's 2 competing love interests, and at some point it does become a little bit fan fiction-y as they pursue this young lady, but it never drops the auspices of the Regency romance, whereas something like Bridgerton, non-stop sex, duels, over-the-top melodrama, people are constantly in mortal peril. Here, they do a good job of making very, very small things significant. You know, it's about the parlor games, the glances and looks and rumors, and that is what you want out of this genre. So I actually really enjoyed that they were able to do that, and also dig into the relationship with her mother, which is, you know, she's a nightmare in the original book as well, but she's not very three-dimensional in the original book either, much like Mary. So they take a little bit of time to flesh that out and sort of show her going off and becoming her own woman and finding happiness. And I really enjoyed all of that, Jim.
Hey, it looks like that actress was on a few episodes of Bridgerton.
That makes sense. I don't remember her in it, but yeah, I would have seen her there, I suppose. But to cap it off, Jim, who plays the romantic lead? If not Donal Flynn, Moriarty himself, the Irish hunk. He's in both these, and I didn't even know that when I started watching. I watched both of these like in succession, and I'm like, he's in fucking everything. And I looked it up, and these are kind of the 2 things he's in right now. But I was like, he's in everything. So, and he's very good in both of them. Very different character as well. He's very like introverted in this one, as opposed to Moriarty, very flamboyant and everything. But by God, is he charming in both of them. Maybe I just have a weakness for Irish men. But,
could be, yeah. I mean, that's why you're a transplant from Sweden to Ireland.
Yep.
I'm sorry, did you say these were about 30 minutes? These are kind of breezy episodes as well?
Yes, which I really enjoyed. So it's 10 episodes, but like, you know, they're 30 minutes each, and they don't go over that because I guess they're made for BBC, right? So it's more of a time slot type thing than compared to all the streaming shows we get these days. So yeah, 30 minutes, and every episode actually, like, it spans several years as well, right? So it's not like just hanging and sitting in something. It's like time is passing, things are happening, and it doesn't feel slow, even though the things we're seeing are like small moments throughout her life. And yeah, as you kind of got the gist of, I really like Pride and Prejudice, but like I've also, as I said, I've read and watched Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, but also there's one called Death Comes to Pemberley, which is someone going like, what if it was Pride and Prejudice, but there was a murder mystery sequel. And I even watched a 2008 TV show called Lost in Austin, which was someone literally being caught, like a real person from our time traveling into Jane Austen and fucking things up. There are a lot of these types of playing with the materials and adaptations, and this is definitely the top one I've seen for me. I thoroughly enjoyed it and would recommend it as a light and breezy watch if something like Bridgerton maybe is a little bit over the top for you.
Yeah, and it looks like, I don't know if it's technically even released here in the States yet.
Yeah, because it was BBC, so I don't know what
it's coming. It looks like it's coming in like 2 weeks. Well, depending on when we release this, it's May. Yeah. It's coming out on May 6th here in the States on BritBox, which I was not even aware of was a thing.
Sounds like a place shows go to die, but
I guess it's kind of a thing you can access through like Prime Video, maybe, or maybe it's a channel on Prime Video or something. But I'm sure it's something maybe like for a release here, it'll probably pop up on like a Netflix or something. I do see a listing on Apple TV, but yeah. So I didn't mean to like sidetrack it. I was just interested because I saw IMDb listed May 6th, and I was like, wait, but you've already watched it. But then it's also showing, March 29th. So it was a BBC show. You said.
Yeah, they released it in 2 parts. So the first 5 came out on March. Or no, actually, I'm wrong about that. They dropped a couple episodes. Here's what they did. They released 2 episodes in a go, or released. I guess they broadcast it. They're BBC, but broadcasting is kind of in the title. They released 2 episodes every week for a period of a month or whatever. So it finished up there on the 12th of April is when the last episode came out.
I do like that more shows are trying to dip their toes into a staggered release. Now, if it's a show that I don't really care about, like something like The Boys, where I'm just like, I'll wait till they... Yeah. I'm like going against everything I preach, where I'm like, release these things every week, you fuck. It's weird. Yeah, it's funny to hear about this because, again, it's like completely out of my...
it's like reality. When you talk about reality TV, I'm like, they climb a mountain, you say.
But I love the idea. I'm surprised. Has something... I mean, you may not even know this or not, but... Have they done anything like this previously? Like as far as this type of, focus on a different character? I mean, like you said, there's been, Pride and Prejudice and zombies and all this other stuff, but like this type of angle that you're aware of?
With this book in particular, you mean? Or like
with this book in particular.
I don't know. I think so. The book that this is based on came out in 2020, and I think it's a good idea because all the other sisters get way more screen time. So it's like the 2 eldest sisters are kind of the main characters in the actual book, and then the 2 youngest sisters are, I might get the order wrong here, but the 2 youngest sisters are like, they're part of the plot in that they cause problems in the plot, versus Mary Bennet does fuck all besides just be frumpy and annoying basically in the book. So it's a good one to tap, and I don't know that anyone else has done this with this in particular, but it's a good idea for like, instead of just getting a million different versions of Sherlock Holmes, maybe there is something people could do where they actually tap into like side characters and flesh them out or make their own version of something, because this shows that you can do it quite well. The production company is Bad Wolf, who I would have known originally as like they made Doctor Who, I believe. Like when it came back, Bad Wolf was the production company for Doctor Who. But they also have made shows like The Night Of. We've discussed that one.
Oh yes.
And His Dark Materials and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting. They're good at putting TV together, I think. Even if they don't always. I mean, yeah. Doctor Who is not great, but they've made a lot of good shows as well.
And this is neither here nor there. This is just kind of like a side thought I had just between the discussions of all these shows that we've been talking about. And maybe it's us being the non-taste makers or something, because we've mentioned that neither of us have watched White Lotus. White Lotus, at least from my outsider's perspective, is like one of the biggest shows that everyone's always talking about. And when we're just talking about like release schedules between like The Boys delay, like either both the weekly idea and also trying to have a season every year. One of the biggest shows everyone's talking about is The Pit, and neither of us watched The Pit.
Yeah.
And that show was going week to week, and I'm looking it up because I was curious. They're set to have their season 3 next year, and like I think they already did 1 and 2 like basically a year apart. So these are people trying to deliver on what we've been demanding. So you kind of do love to see it.
Yeah, and we're just negging them by not checking out these incredibly popular shows. But that's, my partner's watched all of The Pit and really loves it. But like, I do think you kind of probably have to be into a medical procedural to enjoy that, right? Which has just never been my, if it's not Scrubs. By the way, have you watched more of Scrubs?
No, I've been behind on. Well, here's my problem. Here's what my thing that happened was since we last recorded, if I can go inside a bit.
Yeah.
Because remember I raved about Nirvana, the show, the band. I watched the web series, then season 1, then season 2. Well, no. Okay, no, here's what happened leading up to it. So I watched the movie, Nirvana, the show, the band, the movie. And I was like, oh my God, I love this. And then I tracked down the web show. I watched the web show. I watched season 1. I watched season 2. Then I watched the movie again because the movie came out on digital. And then I just started watching the web show again. And then I watched season 1 again.
Okay.
And I didn't finish...
I can see where this is going. Yeah.
I didn't finish season 2 yet for some reason, even though I did want to. I'm like halfway through. And I was going to watch the movie again. But I did luckily get a little distracted just because then I was watching with my fiance because I was like, well, she doesn't want to just watch Nirvana, the show, the band again. So that's why we threw on Jury Duty because we watched season 1 of that. So like that's why I got a little diverted off of my because in the midst of watching Nirvana, the show, the band, I was watching Matt Johnson, the director. I watched his movie The Dirties, and then I watched his other movie Operation Avalanche. So I was just watching all his stuff, and I'm ready to watch Blackberry again because he directed that as well. But yeah, I got a little diverted with Jury Duty. And then she mentioned to me like, oh, didn't you like Beef? There's a new season of Beef. And I was like, oh, fuck, you know what? I guess I'll take a look at that. But I'm about to get diverted back to Nirvana, the show, Nirvana, the band, the show. But maybe I've been talking about how I want to watch The Pit forever, and I just haven't done it. So I got to do that, I think.
I have Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie on deck. I haven't pushed play yet, but I have it pulled up and ready to go. So I'm sure next time that's all I'll talk about as well.
I would recommend watching the movie first, just kind of going in blind and watching the film. Because that's what I did, and I really like that I was able to watch the movie and just kind of take it in, like, oh, this is what these guys are about. Then watch their like history, and then rewatching the movie from the point of view of knowing the history and like the show and everything and how it kind of ties into everything. So yeah, that was just my obligatory way to bring up Nirvana, the band.
Yeah. On the release schedule, I mean, I've talked about it before, but Slow Horses is another like show that I don't understand how they're able to do it, but like every season ends with a preview of the next season, and they release one every year. I don't get it, but apparently it's possible. I feel like they're making all the other shows look bad by doing that. Now, I didn't really love the last season there, but sure, there's another one coming out in a few months. It doesn't matter.
I've heard that's pretty good too, and I don't know if this show has done every year, but it seems like they've had a million seasons, and I've never watched it. Is Only Murders in the Building. It feels like if they're not every year, they're probably pretty close because I'm always hearing about a new season of that show. But I tip my hat to you. I really appreciate that some of these shows can get their shit together and at least try to have a semi-regular season release schedule.
Jesus, you're right. Yeah, Only Murders in the Building, 2021, 2, 3, 4, 5. Every year, a 10-episode season. Of course, we haven't watched it though. Why would we be interested in this show about about true crime podcasters going in and solving actual murders? That doesn't sound like something we would have pitched in an episode of Blank Meets Blank at showswhatyouknow.com.
Yeah, and I've heard it's very good. So it's another one I have meant to watch it. But some of these shows too are ones that I do think of as like partner shows. And so it's usually like, oh, well, I don't want to start it because maybe she wants to watch it. But then usually when we finally have time to sit down, we want to put on something we don't want to pay attention to. And so it's like, well, we don't want to watch The Pit right now. We'll watch YouTube vloggers.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I mean, Young Sherlock might be a good show to not pay attention to, although, as my partner said, I don't know what you were smoking, but that show is unwatchable after trying to watch the first episode. And I was like, I would have agreed when I watched the first episode. Then I watched 10 of them and got brainwashed into thinking it was good. And I don't think necessarily any of these shows are good. You just acclimatize to shows, I think, and then start thinking they're good because you're surrounded by them. And isn't
Hold
that
on, Jacob.
really
Remember what you said at the beginning of the show. You
yeah,
weren't gonna
right.
do this.
You're right. Oh, yes, you're right. Yes. I'll rein it in. If you want to hear me rant about nostalgia and how everything's just gone to shit, there's a separate channel for that. You can go to awesomepedia.org or search for Awesomepedia or Jacob Burrows on YouTube. For more from Jim, of course, there's always jimandthem.com. You can find Jim and Them on YouTube. And, there's also showswhatyouknow.com and Shows What You Know on YouTube, where you might be watching this. Cheers if you are. You tell me, comment what color shirt I'm wearing. If you comment about Jim's shirt being cool if you're one of the people who came over from Jim and Them, because it's a Jim and Them reference and we love that shit.
It absolutely is.
But yeah, any final thoughts, anything like that before we wrap this one up, Jim?
No, tell us about these shows we've mentioned that seem popular. If you've watched them, are they worth us investing some time into those shows? I feel like the answer is an obvious yes, but please let me know.
Indeed. And besides the boys that we mentioned, there's a few shows I want to check out that we might have a chance to talk about next. There's things like the Malcolm in the Middle reboot has come out now, so that needs to be watched. They did put out the Stranger Things Tales from 85 show, which I actually have very little interest in watching, but I kind of want to hate watch it maybe a little bit. I don't know. It looked like a video game is just the thing that we were saying when we watched the trailer, and it does seem like that is what it should have been, I guess. But next month we have Spider Noir coming out, and then we have the live action Avatar season 2, as well as a bunch of other things coming up. So, let us know what we should be watching at showswhatyouknowshow@gmail.com, or leave us a comment on YouTube.
Absolutely. Well, thanks everybody.
Thanks, folks.